Cayman Brack is online, Madam Speaker.
And Minister Matt
Speaker,
Haggard is
here.
on. Thank you. Okay, shall we continue now with question number 26? Honourable Leader of the Opposition, would you like to continue?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I will move away from that line of question and ask the Minister. There was an E-committee that was set up to deal with this some time ago. Can the Minister tell us when was the last time it met?
Honourable Minister of Commerce.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank the member for the question. Madam Speaker, we actually have a full e-government department within government now. So it's quite well staffed, headed up by Mr. Ian Tibbetts, and them along with the computer services have been the drivers behind the National ID program.
Madam.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wonder if the Minister can confirm whether or not we had an e-commerce committee that comprised of government, representing different government departments and the like. If that was a functioning committee, whether it was mandated by his office or otherwise.
Honourable Minister of of Commerce.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank the member for the question again. Madam Speaker, I do believe that in initial stages there was a committee, I think made up with the Deputy Governor, the Cabinet Secretary, along with a few others. And I think that was in the early stages when the e-government department was set up, had just been set up. But as far as I know, that committee isn't as active or is not as active at the moment.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, is the Minister confirming that it's only the Commerce Department and I believe he said the Government Department and Computer Services that is promulgating this?
Honourable Minister of Commerce.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank the member for the question. And obviously, Madam, to the member, they are working with several other agencies, as I said in the initial answer. But yes, this is being led by the e-government, the department.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, can the Minister tell us if there is any direction over this from a policy perspective from his ministry?
Honourable Minister of Commerce.
Thank you. Yes, Madam Speaker, to the member. Policy, it is a government policy. It has been a priority to the government and the last administration, in fact, to focus on the development of the e-government services. Well, I have only been in government the last administration, this one. So I know initially the member from Newlands, I think, was a member of the committee. And it certainly was back then and still continues to be a priority of the government.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Madam Speaker, I tried getting the minister to answer my anticipated question, but he didn't, so let me ask him. How long have we been working on this initiative for the national ID under what he refers to as EID?
Honorable Minister of Commerce.
Madam Speaker, thank you. There has been a tremendous amount of research and other work in the background, but this particular term, since I have been in office, we have, in the subsequent budgets over the last several budgets, budgeted the necessary funds to do the development of the platform.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Madam Speaker, I wonder if the minister is going to tell us, or if he can, when he took office as the minister with constitutional responsibility, if it had been an ongoing project at that time, and if he knows for how long was it ongoing.
Honorable Minister of Commerce.
I thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the member. I am only aware of during the last administration, I think Mr. Tibbetts was hired in the current role as Director of E-Government. We had a visit from because we were following sort of the X-Roads model, and a visit from the Estonian government. I remember attending a presentation at one of the hotels and that, and then the idea and the work started towards building that platform. So I can only speak from then. I don't know anything prior to 2000. That was probably 2014, thereabouts. So I don't know anything previous to that. And as I said, we put the funds in the budget in 2017 to fund the work that got us to where we are today.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I guess the minister can confirm that this project then has been stretched out over the last 6 years.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Minister of Commerce.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And yes, Madam Speaker, I can confirm to the member that certainly the idea and the drive and the policy of the government from the last administration, including this one, started in the last administration and was continued on in this administration.
6 years.
Statements by the honorable ministers and members of the cabinet.
None.
Personal explanations.
None.
Obituary and other ceremonial speeches.
None.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I know this is somewhat unprecedented, but it has, in many instances, been customary when one of our colleagues, close relatives, passes, that many of us get the opportunity to speak and express condolences. And we didn't do that this morning for whatever reason. I thought we were going to do it when your good self did your announcements. And I'm I will be guided by you, but I'm wondering if this would be an appropriate place for at least some members on the opposition, because we have had a long relationship with the member from Northside and with his mother as well. So I'll be guided by you. Maybe we can, or alternatively, do it tomorrow on private members' time.
If members wish to, you can take this opportunity to honor the obituary and other ceremonial speeches to pay your respects to the member from Northside and the passing of his mother.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you. And if it's open for the floor, then I will not say on behalf of the opposition only, but still, my colleagues and I yesterday expressed condolences through the press to a good friend and longtime colleague, Mr. Miller. My relationship with Mr. Miller and his mother go back to 1969 when I went into high school and Mr. Miller was going into sixth form. So we have had a long relationship, and I know how Mr. Miller is, and I know his mother. And I knew his father very well because we shared being seamen. I personally would like to extend sincere condolences to Mr. Miller, his sister Mary Lou, his sister Susan, and his brother Jerris. Miss Mary was known to all of us. Miss Mary was one of those strong Caymanian women who were involved in a lot of the management of this country. Mr. Miller constantly talks about her tenure in the Women's Guild at the Presbyterian, now United Church. I know she will be sadly missed. She was also one of those women who are unsung heroes in the development of this country. When her dearly departed husband was going to sea, she raised 4 children. He himself was a captain, whilst I was an engineer. Madam Speaker, this country needs to pay more and better respect to those women, and Miss Mary Miller just happens to be one of those. We have honored seamen. We have never honored the women who supported the seamen. And were it not for their contribution, generations of this country would not have known the successes that we now enjoy. They raised this country. Not only did they raise their own families, but they were the leaders of our communities. When there was no men folk here, they were the ones who perfected the cliche of it takes a village. Men were not around, and Miss Mary must be applauded for her contribution to this country in general, and in particular to the District of Northside. So I wish for Mr. Miller and his siblings and all their extended families best wishes and peace, great peace at this time, and they can hold their heads high. There may not be any monuments, or her last remains may not be wrapped in a flag denoting the contribution that she made to this country. But they can rest in peace, knowing that while it was unsung, she touched many lives in this country. And I thank you.
Member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Not to be very long, but to also pass on my condolences to Mr. Miller and his family, but particularly to Mr. Jairus Miller, who is one of my constituents. And my thoughts, my heart, my sympathies goes out to the whole family. Not many of us know how difficult that is to lose a mother. I don't know the feeling, so I can only imagine. But my prayers is going out to them on behalf of the other constituents in Georgetown Central, to Mr. Jairus and his brother and the rest of their family.
Member for Savannah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. There's another sad day in this Legislative Assembly, especially looking at the Miller family in recent times. Lost his dad, now his mom. Understand it was 1 year yesterday that they buried his father. She was an elegant and stately woman who represented these islands on different occasions in regards to the Women's Guild and other functions. She seemed to be there in a lot of the operations of the church. I did take the opportunity to directly extend great sympathies to Ezra and his siblings, and that family has contributed much to the development of these islands, and I pray God's blessing on them, and may her soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Honorable Deputy Governor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I sent a message to Mr. Miller this morning, but I want to publicly say on behalf of all of us in the civil service, we want to wish him and his family condolences and ask the good Lord to continue to bless them during this difficult time. Thank you.
Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, obviously the Leader of the Opposition has expressed condolences that I think express how all of us feel on this side, but I wanted to rise because, you know, having served as Mr. Miller's deputy, and also the fact that my family shares a history with his. My father actually met him in Jamaica before I was born. I wanted to rise out of respect for him and his family. And Jairus, I didn't know Mrs. Mary, as well as the other members of the opposition knew her. But I do want to offer my sincere condolences to their family and their extended families, and you know, pray that they will find peace and comfort through God's blessings at this time of loss.
Honorable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to give my condolences, but also that on behalf of the government and my colleagues on the government bench. The Premier has also, on behalf of the government, spoken to the Leader of the Opposition yesterday and offered our condolences directly to him in that regard as well. But like many, sorry, the former, I'm sorry, the member for Northside, the former leader of the opposition, Madam Speaker, although I too did not know Miss Mary personally, I certainly recall hearing when the leader of the opposition spoke about the fact that we have not, as a country, recognized as directly as we had the seamen in the country and the contributions that they've made. Certainly, coming from a seafaring family myself, and I want to thank the Leader of Opposition for not just speaking about Miss Mary in the personal sense, but speaking about what she represented as a member of the community at large and a woman of the community at large during the time that she served the country by raising the family and ensuring that that unit across the island by the many women who share her generation and share her experience would have done, and therefore establishing the bedrock for the Cayman that we have today and the generations that are sitting around in these hallowed halls, as well as who are contributing members of the society as a whole. So from that perspective, I also want to pay homage and honor to Miss Mary as being one of the women who supported the founding mothers, yes, of this country. And my heart goes out to the Leader of the Opposition. Certainly the love that one has for a mother is irreplaceable. And so I am sure that Leader of the Opposition, his siblings, are grieving at this time, and we want him to know that on behalf of the government, he is in our prayers, as well as the entire family are in our thoughts.
Member for Boddentown West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. About a week and change ago, when we were having our public hearings for the Public Accounts Committee, Mr. Millard indicated to us that his mother was unwell and it was just a matter of time. And I remember seeing his personal disposition at that time. And whether we want to look at it, politics itself has always been an alpha personality business. It takes a certain amount of ego and bravado to put yourself forward for public office. And I remember listening to him as he was speaking about it, and with his mother and her failing health at the time. You saw a son. You didn't see the member for Northside. You didn't see the politician. You saw a son. And having spoken to him yesterday myself, for me personally, is one of the, I guess, biggest fears, because I'm not ashamed to say I'm a mama's boy, being the only boy of 5. And my relationship with, I didn't know his mother, but I knew her offspring, those who represented her. And even in my own personal crisis, when I was sick and literally thought I was going to die, and actually I was going to die, I found out afterwards. Ezra came to visit me at home and basically called my wife at the time, tried to pack my bags, and flew me to Cleveland Clinic to have my own life-saving surgery. So my family has always had a sense of debt to the Miller family. And I genuinely feel it for him at this time. And I really hope that his family finds comfort and the memories they shared with her. I think the Miller family has left their own fingerprints in the development of this country, and we do owe them a debt. And I want to say, not as a representative, but also as a son, that to the member for North Side, I feel it for him, this one. So, God bless him and his family during this time.
Government business? Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Honorable Minister of Finance.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Just like to join with every one of my colleagues in expressing my condolences and shock, really, because I did not appreciate or know that Miss Mary was unwell. But shocked to learn of her passing yesterday. I did reach out to Mr. Miller, convey my condolences to him personally yesterday. But I knew of Ms. Miller only by her reputation and for the great contribution she made, not just to this community, but in raising the family that she did. I know the Miller family is grieving. I believe that they have been grieving for a long time. With the passage of their father just a short year ago. Let's also remember too that Mr. Miller's aunt, Saleh, passed away just a couple of months ago. So, you know, they are I think we all join in deep sadness and grief for them in the loss of Ms. Mary Miller. And just want to express my condolences and best wishes to the family. Let them know at this time that I'll be praying for them and for their well-being. Thank you, ma'am.
Raising of matter of privileges?
None.
Government business, bills, committee on bills.
The House will now go into committee to consider the bills. Please be seated. The House is now in committee. With the leave of the House, may I assume that, as usual, we should authorize the Honorable Attorney General to correct minor errors and such the like in these bills. Would the clerk please state the bill and read the clauses?
Births and Deaths Registration Amendment Bill 2020. Clause 1, short title. Clause 2, amendment of Section 2 of the Births and Deaths Registration Law 2017 revision. Definitions. Clause 3, insertion of Section 12A, power to exempt a person from the requirement to sign. Clause 4, insertion of section 69A, sending of information, etc., by electronic means. Clause 5, savings and transitional.
Is there any questions on the clauses? Okay, is there any questions on clauses 1 through 5? If not, I will put the question. The question is that clauses 1 through 5 do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. Clauses 1 through 5 stands part of the bill.
A bill for a law to amend the Births and Deaths Registration Law 27 revision to exempt a person from the requirement to sign a form or counterfoil for the purpose of the registration of the birth of a child, to provide for information to be sent by electronic means to facilitate registration and for incidental and connected purposes.
The question is that the title do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The title stands part of the bill.
Companies Management Amendment Bill 2020, Clause 1, short title. Clause 2, amendment of Section 2 of the Companies Amendment Law 2018 revision, definitions. Clause 3, amendment of Section 18 of the Companies Management Law 2018 revision, additional powers of authority.
Is there any questions on clauses 1 through 3? If not, I will put the question. The question is that clauses 1 through 3 do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Clauses 1 through 3 stands part of the bill.
A bill for a law to amend the Companies Management Law 2018 revision to adjust references to the list of equivalent jurisdictions published under the Anti-Money Laundering Regulations 2018 revision to jurisdictions designated in accordance with Section 5.2 of the Proceeds of Crime Law 2020 revision to align the fitness and propriety provisions under Section 18 of the law with other regulatory laws, to empower the authority to impose administrative fines and for incidental and connected purposes.
The question is that the title do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The title stands part of the bill.
Tax Information Authority Amendment Bill 2020, Clause 1, short title. Clause 2, amendment of Section 5 of the Tax Information Authority Law 2017 revision, functions of the authority. Clause 3, insertion of Section 24A in the Tax Information Authority Law 2017 revision, misleading information.
Is there any questions on clauses 1 through 3? If not, I will put the question. The question is that clauses 1 through 3 do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those against, no. The ayes have it. Clauses 1 through 3 stands part of the bill.
A bill for a law to amend the Tax Information Authority Law 2017 revision to provide for the sharing of information by the authority and for incidental and connected purposes.
The question is that the title do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The title stands part of the bill.
Reporting of Savings Income Information European Union Repeal Bill 2020. Clause 1, short title. Clause 2, repeal of the reporting of savings income information, European Union Law 2014 revision.
Is there any questions on the clauses 1 through 2? If not, I will put the question. The question is that clauses 1 through 2 do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those against, no. The ayes have it. Clauses 1 and 2 stands part of the bill.
A bill for a law to repeal the reporting of savings income information, European Union Law 2014 revision, and for incidental and connected purposes.
The question is that the title do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The title stands part of the bill.
Mutual Funds Amendment Number 3 Bill 2020. Clause 1, short title. Clause 2, amendment of Section 2 of the Mutual Funds Law 2020 revision, interpretation.
Is there any questions on clauses 1 and 2? If not, I will put the question. The question is that clauses 1 and 2 do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. Clauses 1 and 2 stands part of the bill.
A bill for a law to amend the Mutual Funds Law 2020 revision to change a reference in the definition of a regulated mutual fund and for incidental and connected purposes.
The question is that the title do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those against, no. The ayes have it. The title stands part of the bill.
Private Funds Amendment Bill 2020. Clause 1, short title. Clause 2, amendment of the Private Funds Law 2020, Section 16, valuation, Section 17, safekeeping of fund assets, and Section 18, cash monitoring. Clause 3, amendment of Section 31 of the Private Funds Law 2020, regulations.
Is there any questions on clauses 1 through 3?
Madam,
Oh, that's a new clause.
Madam Chair,
Sorry.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
there has been distributed an amendment to this bill. And
Honorable Leader of the Opposition, that's the next item. It's an insertion of a clause, so that will come after these amendments.
but it hasn't been circulated as a new clause. New clauses and the AG may, Attorney General may, he and I always differ on this. Are we proposing this amendment as a new clause or an amendment? I was asking the Attorney General at that stage.
Well, I read this, Madam Chair,
Honorable Attorney General.
as an amendment to Section 2 of the law itself, as opposed to an amendment to the bill. As a new clause that is being inserted in the bill. You're not amending an existing clause of this bill, eh? That's correct.
You're satisfied? That doesn't mean I am, but I guess you're expecting your satisfaction to satisfy me. Yeah.
Goodness, sad news, but it's all good. He was such a good man, Mr. Robert Amity, an ambassador to the Cayman Islands. Yes, the face.
Maybe we. Madam Chair, to the Attorney General, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just wondering how, whether it's a new clause or it is an amendment to Section 2. If it is a new clauses go at the end, and then the Attorney General corrects them and put them in their proper place. If it is an amendment to the Section 2 of the law, then it has to be done after Clause 1 of the bill. That's confusing, but a new clause goes at the end, but this is not a new clause. This is an amendment to a law. A new clause is an addition to a law. AG, you and I have always differed on where this comes in. We need to get it right. We need agreeing here.
Mr. AG.
Inserting out a clause on the following clause, or inserting a new clause. But it goes on to say an amendment of Section 2, not Clause 2 of the bill.
Section 2 of the law.
Right.
Yeah, understood all. That's all understood. I'm just wondering. The chair was asking for vote on clause 1 through 5, 3, and we were bypassing, I think, clause 2 amends which one again? I got so much paper here.
And that is because there's no committee stage amendment to clause 2 of the bill.
No, there isn't, but it says to do this after clause 1. And clause 1 is the title, right? Clause 2 goes on to amend other sections of the law. And this needs to be put in after clause 1 of the bill. Are we correct in waiting until the end? That's my question, because the standing orders is specific, and it says it only makes provisions for new clauses to be after you have considered all other clauses of the bill. And it says after clause 1 of the bill. This is directing that the bill be amended, the bill being amended by inserting after clause 1 the following clause.
The mic, please, Honorable Attorney General.
Inserted at the end, yeah, so.
So, Honorable Attorney General, how do we proceed? As a new clause?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you haven't taken the vote on 1 to 3 yet.
Okay. Is there any questions on clauses 1 through 3? If not, I will put the question. The question is that clauses 1 through 3 do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please.
I'm sorry, Madam Speaker.
Member for Prospect?
Yes, I'm sorry. Obviously, being attached, participating via Zoom, I don't have the ability to hear the off-mic chatter. But did we solve the question raised by the Leader of the Opposition as to this new clause being inserted? Because I don't have a copy of any new clause being inserted to Section 2, and I just wanted to see if that matter had been clarified or if it's going to come after. Apologies for the interruption.
Member for Prospect, yes, we have agreed that the clause should be a new clause as per the Attorney General's ruling on that,
And what is
or advice on that.
Sorry, and what is the new clause?
We will be proposing that now, member for Prospect.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, member from Kimmerank East. Before the proposal is put, is it possible to read what the new clause is so that those of us on Zoom would be cognizant of what we're being asked to vote on?
Honourable Minister of Education, yes, we will be reading that clause momentarily.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Did we take a vote?
No.
Did they vote on it?
No. Okay, let's start again. Is there any question on clauses 1 through 3? If not, I will put the question. The question is that clauses 1 through 3 do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. Clauses 1 through 3 stands part of the bill.
New clause 1A.
We have received an amendment for a new clause, and under Standing Order 52.2, I give leave to waive the 2-day notice period. Honourable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, in accordance with the provisions of Standing Order 52.1 and 2, I, the Honourable Tara Rivers, Minister responsible for Financial Services and Home Affairs, give notice to move the following amendments to the Private Funds Amendment Bill 2020. That the bill be amended by inserting after Clause 1 the following clause, quote, amendment of Section 2 of the Private Funds Law 2020 interpretation. 1A. The Private Funds Law 2020 is amended in Section 2 by deleting the definition of the words, quote, private fund, end quote, and by substituting the following definition. Quote, private fund, end quote, means a company, unit, trust, or partnership that offers or issues or has issued investment interests, the purpose or effect of which is the pooling of investor funds with the aim of enabling investors to receive profits or gains from such entities' acquisition, holding, management, or disposal of investments where A, the holders of investment interests do not have day-to-day control over the acquisition, holding, management, or disposal of the investments, semicolon, and B, the investments are managed as a whole by or on behalf of the operator of the private fund, directly or indirectly, but does not include Roman numeral 1, a person licensed under the Banks and Trust Companies Law 2020 revision or the Insurance Law 2020, 2010, or the Insurance Law 2010, semicolon, Roman numeral 2, a person registered under the Building Societies Law 2020 revision or the Friendly Societies Law 1998 revision, semicolon, or Roman numeral 3, any non-fund arrangements, semicolon, end quote.
The new clause 1A having been read a first time, the question now is that this clause be read a second time. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The clause is deemed to have been read a second time.
New clause 1A, amendment of section 2 of the Private Funds Law 2020 interpretation.
Would a member to move the amendment?
Yeah, yeah.
I now call on a member to move the amendment.
No, there's no amendment.
Oh, okay. Is there any debate on the clause? Is there any debate on the new clause? Member from Boddington West.
Thank you. Don't have to get up for this one? Oh, well, that's good. Madam Chair, first of all, I can't resist an opportunity to say something about the EU. I'm sorry, but I think my views are well documented and well known. One of the things I just want to read, Madam Chair, and this was an article that was published, in fact, just yesterday, and it was by a Barbados economist, Dukaran. Some members in this house may have been familiar with her because she wrote very complimentary things excuse me, about the Cayman Islands government. And I think she's recognized as an expert, a regional expert when it comes on to economics in the Caribbean. And the article that jumped out at me, Madam Chair, was actually I've asked for copies to be given to you also. So Chris, you can get one to the Leader of Opposition and also the Chair, and one to the Minister Rivers, someone please. The one that you just printed from my thanks. Yeah, I asked the clerk just print so you can directly say exactly what it is I'm reading. And I just want to register this one. And the headline says, is EU employing racist tactics? And the article goes on to say, one economist in Barbados is questioning if the European Union's decision to blacklist Barbados and other countries recently had anything to do with race. Regional economist Marla Dukaran raised the issue in her June 2020 economic report, which also questioned if the EU's tactics should be considered bullying. In May of this year, the EU identified 28 countries as high risk for money laundering and terrorist financing. Included in that list were Caribbean countries Barbados, Guyana, the Bahamas, Guyana, Jamaica, and Trinidad and Tobago, which the EU said had strategic deficiencies in their national anti-money laundering and counter-financing of terrorism regimes that poses significant threats to the EU's financial system. Saying that the EU's so-called blacklist was not surprising, Dukaran acknowledged that the EU member states were glaringly absent from the list, while accusing the EU of weaponizing its rules by arbitrarily, unilaterally, selectively, and disproportionately imposing them on certain hapless non-EU members with no known recourse for these blacklisted countries. ranging from a low of 9% in Hungary to 34.4% in France. Average EU corporate tax rates are higher than the global average. This is likely one of the key reasons why the EU is internationally uncompetitive, as outlined above. But why are EU taxes so high? Said Dukuran. She said, perhaps the EU is a bully, and instead of addressing its domestic problems with appropriate domestic policies, the EU aims to export this problem by blacklisting non-EU countries which dare to exercise their sovereign right to set their own domestic corporate tax rates too low, thus effectively destroying the competition. Perhaps the EU is a racist institution. Not all low-tax jurisdictions get blacklisted by the EU. This classification is reserved only for those with predominantly non-white populations naturally, she said. The EU consistently omits its own low-tax members, Hungary and Ireland, the USA states of Delaware, which is 69.2% Caucasian, and Nevada, 68.1% Caucasian, and UK Overseas Territory Gibraltar, and is 79%, other British 13.2%, among others, she argued. Dukuran also questioned the EU's level of fiscal prudence, saying its average debt to gross domestic product ratio was still about 20% points higher than the average of the blacklisted countries. Stating that the EU did not limit its blacklisting to tax policies, the regional economist pointed out that the consequences of such lists should not be underestimated, as they are often an economically exponential magnitude for these developing countries. Other countries identified on the recent list are from Latin America and Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. Among the consequences of being on the EU list of non-compliant nations is that banks and other gatekeepers are required to apply enhanced vigilance in business relationships and transactions involving high-risk third countries. Dukuran said, furthermore, these blacklisted countries are subject to sanctions by the EU. And perhaps most damaging to all is the fact that the banks in Europe and North America are in effect compelled to de-risk banks from these listed jurisdictions by withdrawing or reducing correspondent banking services, and in many cases, even physically exiting these jurisdictions. Seemingly liking the EU's behavior to that of the recent white police officer involved in the death of Black American George Floyd, Dukuran said, the withdrawal of correspondent banking services from these small, open, soft currency jurisdictions is in effect to place a knee on the carotid artery of their economies, with socio-economic consequences that no small developing country can survive, especially in this pandemic. And coming on to the closing part, she says, stating that the EU laws exclude predominantly white EU states from appearing on the so-called blacklist, despite evidence of non-adherence to their own standards and rules, Dukuran added that there were also glaring omissions of predominantly white non-EU jurisdictions that were well-known money laundering hotspots. She said, predominantly for political and/or economic reasons, Gibraltar, London, Russia, and the USA, for example. And in closing, she went on to say, evidently, we, the former European colonists, are being held to a higher standard than our former colonizers evidently, we, the former European colonists, are being held to a higher standard than our former colonizers by our former colonizers. We are still denied the sovereignty to manage our domestic affairs, even in a manner similar to that of our former colonizers, she said. Now, Madam Chair, this has been one of the issues with our whole blacklist issues, and as I said yesterday, that whatever concerns we have, those are the kind of things that we really need to keep, to some extent, responsibly, in a responsible manner, to some extent offline. Because there are some things that, for international competition purposes and so forth, there are some differences which I shouldn't discuss in public, but one of the things that we don't want to raise on this issue, Madam Chair, is the process in which we, and as a country, and also not just this government, but I mean previous governments before, have applied or reached out for consultations. I have no issues with governments consulting the lawyers, the accountants, and the different people in the industry. Because at the end of the day, there's a difference between law and basically its application. And ultimately, the people who have to apply the law needs to understand the spirit or the intent of what is expected of them. But ultimately, we in this chamber and the government primarily is responsible for the enforcement of those laws. And one of the things that we have done in this country is that we have created a culture of the very people that we are supposed to be regulating are the ones that are writing the rules to regulate them. We cannot have the foxes writing the rules to guard the henhouse. And that is one of the things that I would say to this government and the future government to take that into consideration. We do not go out and ask people who commit crime, well, how best do you think we should write this or best we should do that? We write things, we pass legislation, we write regulations, we do policies to do what is in the best interest of the country. And it is sad that we are at this point, because the truth of the fact is, Madam Chair, the very people that we depended on to help us through this issue, basically for their own self-serving purposes, basically wrote a definition that gave them a backdoor and a loophole out of this system. And it is one thing for us to have challenges within the private funds business or the mutual funds business, but we are still at the end of the day a global financial services country, and we cannot risk the entire industry for one section of the industry. The blacklisting of this country as a result of some people trying to be cute and running the risk that it did for the entire country was really unconscionable. And the reason I want to say this, Madam Chair, is I too spoke to some of the people within the industry. And one of the most disgraceful things for me is that some of the very lawyers were quick to point out to me that, you know what, whether I register in Cayman or not, I'm still going to make my money. And they were quick to let me know that, listen, either way I get paid. And it is a level of selfishness that some of them have undertaken that runs this country at risk. And I'm going to tell you right now, many of those very same people are people who came here, made a better life for themselves and their family, and we're doing our best to try to make sure that Cayman survives. And especially now where tourism itself is already being struggled, of its own challenges because of this pandemic, we need financial services more than ever. And the self-serving natures of some of these people. And like I said, I do understand that they have an obligation to their clients and do what's best for their client. But at the end of the day, we in this chamber have an obligation to the entire country, not just their clients, to the entire country. And to have put us in this position where we're now going through this and running the risk of losing business. Look at the article I read yesterday, where Singapore and all of those other countries are now looking to take advantage of us being on the blacklist to woo business away. I mean, we have been blessed in the sense that because of the COVID pandemic and everything else, this blacklisting thing, everything else kind of took a back burner. But as businesses begin to move back now, this is something that we need to do to get off the blacklist. And equally so, Madam Chair, this problem did not start this year. To give Jack his jacket, more than 15 years ago, following the Enron scandal and the Parmalat scandal, the then leader of government business, McKeever Bush, put together a committee to look at the very unregistered entities that we had in this country to see what we could have done to protect ourselves. We had an opportunity more than 15 years ago to be ahead of the curve, to be an industry leader in dealing with this. And some of the very same individuals today fought against it more than 15 years ago, and here we are now. And for many of us who have children overseas and understand the importance of banking overall to our economy, this is not something that we can risk, so a few self-serving people can make a few extra dollars for themselves, regardless of where the business is registered. So, Madam Chair, I'm just going to close off with one simple statement. And I really don't care who don't like it, but I'm going to say it. If you are in this country and you have come here and you have done well, we expect for you to create, or to help create and help maintain the very environment that allowed for you to do well. This issue that the minute I get what I want, to hell with everybody else and close the door, can't work. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you ever see Chris Saunders get in a position and some of you still have that very same behavior, I'm just going to tell you it's time for you to pack your bags and go. We do not need people like this in this country, especially at this time where we need all hands on deck and the entire world is struggling. So with that said, Madam Chair, and I've gotten that off of my chest, I want to say that at this point, we in the official opposition recognize the importance of having a financial services industry that is not blacklisted. We recognize that we do need a financial services industry that is open to do business, is transparent to do business, and is seen to be meeting all of its international obligations. And shame on those who, for their own selfish reasons in one particular sector, in one particular section of this industry, try to jeopardize our entire financial industry, which is the bread and butter of this country. And I'm going to tell you one thing, it's only because we're still a small island where I don't sit down and name and shame some of them for their disgraceful behavior. So I will say to the government, please bear in mind at the end of the day that most of these lawyers, well, I won't say most, but some of these lawyers have a responsibility to their clients. They're doing their job. We, at the end of the day, have a responsibility to the entire country, and we can't jeopardize that. So it's fine to listen to them, but we have our job to do. I also want to really and truly give credit to SEMA and for what it is that they have been doing in this entire process. I know sometimes as regulators, they do get a very bad name, but I can tell you, having worked with them and having been regulated by SEMA now for more than 10 years in my previous life and to some extent even my current life, I can say they have a good team over there, they have a dedicated team over there, and they work well with industry, and in some cases, they even go above and beyond to work with industry. I can attest to that from my own personal dealings with them, and I want to say well done to the team over there. But for those people who are trying to sit down and belittle them and trying to take something from them, just remember that we still have ways to go, and I still reserve the right to come back here and say what I need to say about you. But at this point right now, we just need to get off the blacklist and get our country back and to do business that we're doing. And with that, Madam Chair, I just needed to say what I need to say, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Honorable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to very succinctly reiterate that what I alluded to in the opening debate of these bills with respect to bringing an amendment is to do exactly what the member has asked for with respect to the government doing what needs to be done to do everything that we possibly can from this jurisdiction's perspective to ensure that we are able to be removed from the blacklist at the earliest possible opportunity. We've been told that that would be October, and by bringing this amendment, we are ensuring that there is whatever areas of ambiguity that may have existed, those areas are now no longer the case. We have addressed those by bringing forward this change to ensure that what is anticipated to be registered will in fact be included as a part of this legislation. So there is no shadow of a doubt to the EU or anybody else, the government's intention to ensure that we have a robust regulatory framework that can withstand the scrutiny and to ensure that SEMA can continue to be and to be able to act as a regulator of excellence in this area. And so we can continue to operate as a jurisdiction of excellence when it comes to the funds industry.
If there is no more questions, I will put the question.
Madam Chairman?
Member for Prospect.
Yes, Madam Chairman. Thank you. Obviously, not having the benefit of this new inserted clause in front of me, though I thank the chair for reading those amendments. But again, like many persons, you know, I like to see the words in front of me so that I can understand obviously what I'm voting on. But be that as it may, I wonder if I can ask one or two questions relevant to this new clause being inserted.
Member from Prospect, the actual amendments were emailed to you. Would you want us to pause for a second so you can refer to them?
No, Minister, Madam Chairman, I have my email in front of me. Give me 2 seconds here to just simply notice of committee stage amendments. Yes, Madam Chairman, thank you very much. I have the notice of amendment, which simply reads in paragraph 2 that the bill be amended in the long title by inserting after the words Private Funds Law 2020 to clarify the definition of private fund in the law. But it did not go on to, I think, list. Oh, sorry, I apologize. It does say so in section 1. All right, be that as it may, Madam Chairman, I do have some questions. Whilst I appreciate that it is unusual or perhaps maybe a breach in protocol for a government member to ask such questions, of which I'm guided by the chair, I also believe that I have a duty of care in this matter. The amendments to the private funds law, which previously we were said to be coming to this House to decide on, were rather minor amendments which had the benefit of industry consultation, and all had obviously given their, for lack of a better word, blessing that these changes were indeed minor and thus impacting the financial services industry as a whole. I wonder, however, though, given that this insertion amends the definition of what is a private fund, has there been equal consultation with industry regarding this definition change? And if so, what that response may have been?
Honorable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, the proposed definition, it was made clear that the government, through having looked at the implementation aspect of the legislation, having had the concerns about areas that may need to be clarified in the law, we did have an opportunity to indicate to the industry that there would be a need to have an amendment to this provision in order to ensure that there is no ambiguity of significance, which would mean that certain entities, because of the ambiguity, may not be registered. And so we wanted to ensure that that situation was rectified as soon as possible, and this obviously was the soonest, earliest opportunity to do so, but we did have a discussion with relevant members of industry before tabling this amendment.
Thank you,
Member for
Madam
Prospect.
Minister. If I can just ask one follow-up question. Were the specifics as were repeated by the chairman in terms of the definition itself, were those specific details shared with industry, or was it, as I understood, and if I understood it incorrectly, please correct me, as opposed to a general notice to the industry that there will be some definition changes? Were they aware of the specific definition changes as read to this committee moments ago?
Honorable Minister of Financial Services.
Yes, Madam Chair, there was a meeting that took place where the explanation about the areas of the amendments to the definition was outlined.
Thank you, Madam Minister.
The question is that this clause be added to the bill as clause number 1A, and that the subsequent clauses be renumbered accordingly. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. Clause 1A is added to the bill.
A bill for a law to amend the Private Funds Law 2020 to require that conflicts of interest rising in relation to valuation, safekeeping of funds assets, and cash monitoring are managed and monitored, to remove the power of Cabinet to exempt persons or businesses from the application of the law, and for incidental and connected purposes.
Honourable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That the bill be amended in the long title by inserting after the words, quote, the Private Funds Law, 2020, end quote, the words, quote, to clarify the definition of, quote, private fund, end quote, in the law, semicolon, end quote.
The question is that the title as amended stands part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The title as amended stands part of the bill.
Exempted Limited Partnership Amendment Bill 2020. Clause 1, short title. Clause 2, amendment of Section 43 of the Exempted Limited Partnership Law 2018 revision, deregistration with continuation in another jurisdiction.
Is there any questions on clauses 1 and 2? If not, I put the question. The question is that clauses 1 and 2 do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. Clauses 1 and 2 stands part of the bill.
A bill for a law to amend the Exempted Limited Partnership Law 2018 revision to permit the deregistration of an exempted limited partnership that is registered under the Private Funds Law 2020 and for incidental and connected purposes.
The question is that the title do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those against, no. The ayes have it. The title stands part of the bill.
Youth Justice Amendment Bill 2020. Clause 1, short title. Clause 2, amendment of Section 17 of the Youth Justice Law 2019 revision, evidence of young persons.
Is there any questions on clauses 1 and 2? If not, I will put the question. The question is that clauses 1 and 2 do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. Clauses 1 and 2 stands part of the bill.
A bill for a law to amend the Youth Justice Law 2019 revision by repealing Section 17(4) of that law in order to bring the law in line with Section 41(1) of the Evidence Law 2019 revision and for incidental and connected purposes.
The question is that the title do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The title stands part of the bill. The question is that the bills be reported to the House. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The bills will accordingly be reported to the House. The House will now resume. Please be seated. We have now reached the hour of 4:30. May I have a motion for the suspension of standing orders or Standing Order 10-2?
Madam Speaker, I move the suspension of Standing Order 10-2 in order for the business of the House to continue past the hour of 4:30.
The question is that Standing Order 10-2 be suspended to enable the business of the House to continue beyond the hour of 4:30 p.m. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The House will continue beyond 4:30 p.m.
Report on bills. Births and Deaths Registration Amendment Bill 2020.
Honorable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am to report that a committee of the whole House has considered the bill shortly entitled the Births and Deaths Registration Amendment Bill 2020, and it was passed without amendment.
The bill has been duly reported and is set down for third reading.
The Companies Management Amendment Bill 2020.
Honorable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am to report that a committee of the whole House has considered the bill shortly entitled the Companies Management Amendment Bill 2020, and it is passed without amendment.
The bill has been duly reported and is set down for third reading.
The Tax Information Authority Amendment Bill 2020.
Honorable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am to report that a committee of the whole House has considered the bill shortly entitled the Tax Information Authority Amendment Bill 2020, and it was passed without amendment.
The bill has been duly reported and is set down for third reading.
The Reporting of Savings Income Information, European Union, Repeal Bill 2020.
Honorable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am to report that a committee of the whole House has considered the bill shortly entitled the Reporting of Savings Income Information, European Union, Repeal Bill 2020, and it was passed without amendments.
The bill has been duly reported and is set down for third reading.
The Mutual Funds Amendment Number 3 Bill 2020.
Honorable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am to report that a committee of the whole House has considered the bill shortly entitled the Mutual Funds Amendment Number 3 Bill 2020, and it was passed without amendments.
The bill has been duly reported and set down for third reading.
The Private Funds Amendment Bill 2020.
Honorable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am to report that a committee of the whole House has considered the bill shortly entitled the Private Funds Amendment Bill 2020, and it was passed with amendments.
The bill has been duly reported and is set down for third reading.
The Exempted Limited Partnership Amendment Bill 2020.
Honourable Minister of Financial Services.
Madam Speaker, I am to report that a committee of the whole House has considered the bill shortly entitled the Exempted Limited Partnership Amendment Bill 2020, and it was passed without amendments.
The bill has been duly reported and is set down for third reading.
The Youth Justice Amendment Bill 2020.
Honourable Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to report that a bill entitled the Youth Justice Amendment Bill 2020 was considered by a committee of the whole House and passed without amendments.
The bill has been duly reported and is set down for third reading.
Third readings. The Births and Deaths Registration Amendment Bill 2020.
The Honourable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that a bill shortly entitled the Births and Deaths Registration Amendment Bill 2020 be read a third time and passed.
The question is that a bill shortly entitled the Births and Deaths Registration Amendment Bill 2020 be given a third reading and passed. All those in favour, please say aye.
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 Those against? No. The ayes have it. The Births and Deaths Registration Amendment Bill 2020 has been read a third time and is passed.
The Companies Management Amendment Bill 2020.
Honourable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that a bill shortly entitled the Companies Management Amendment Bill 2020 be read a third time and passed.
The question is that a bill shortly entitled the Companies Management Amendment Bill 2020 be given a third reading and passed. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? No. The ayes have it. The Companies Management Amendment Bill 2020 has been read a third time and is passed.
The Tax Information Authority Amendment Bill 2020.
Honourable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that a bill shortly entitled the Tax Information Authority Amendment Bill 2020 be read a third time and passed.
The question is that a bill shortly entitled the Tax Information Authority Amendment Bill 2020 be given a third reading and passed. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? No. The ayes have it. The Tax Information Authority Amendment Bill 2020 has been read a third time and is passed.
The Reporting of Savings Income Information European Union Repeal Bill 2020.
The Honourable Minister of Financial Services.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that a bill shortly entitled the Reporting of Savings Income Information European Union Repeal Bill 2020 be read a third time and passed.
The question is that a bill shortly entitled the Reporting of Savings Income Information European Union Repeal Bill 2020 be given a third reading and passed. All those in favour, please say aye.
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 Those against? No. The ayes have it. The Reporting of Savings Income Information European Union Repeal Bill 2020 has been read a third time and is passed.
Mutual Funds Amendment Number 3 Bill 2020.
The Honourable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that a bill shortly entitled the Mutual Funds Amendment Number 3 Bill 2020 be read a third time and passed.
The question is that a bill shortly entitled the Mutual Funds Amendment Number 3 Bill 2020 be given a third reading and passed. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those against, no. The ayes have it. The Mutual Funds Amendment Number 3 Bill 2020 has been read a third time and is passed.
The Private Funds Amendment Bill 2020.
The Honourable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that a bill shortly entitled the Private Funds Amendment Bill 2020 be read a third time and passed.
The question is that a bill shortly entitled the Private Funds Amendment Bill 2020 be given a third reading and passed. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The Private Funds Amendment Bill 2020 has been read a third time and is passed.
The Exempted Limited Partnership Amendment Bill 2020.
The Honourable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to move that a bill shortly entitled the Exempted Limited Partnership Amendment Bill 2020 be read a third time and passed.
The question is that a bill shortly entitled the Exempted Limited Partnership Amendment Bill 2020 be given a third reading and passed. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The Exempted Limited Partnership Amendment Bill 2020 has been read a third time and is passed.
The Youth Justice Amendment Bill 2020.
The Honourable Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Youth Justice Amendment Bill 2020 be given a third reading and pass.
The question is that a bill shortly entitled the Youth Justice Amendment Bill 2020 be given a third reading and passed. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The Youth Justice Amendment Bill 2020 has been read a third time and is passed.
Madam Chair, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If I could just briefly take the opportunity to thank the members of my team in the Ministry of Financial Services, the Legal Drafting Department, SEMA, and all other departments who have worked so assiduously to ensure that these bills were prepared, by and large, financial services bills for this meeting of the LE. I just want to thank them publicly on the mic for all their hard work.
Motions. Government Motion Number 9 of 1920. Amendment to the Development Plan 1997. Proposed rezoning. West Bay Beach North Block 11B, parcels 70, 86, 90, 91, 92, 93, and 94, to be moved by the Honourable Minister of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure.
Honourable Minister of Commerce.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I beg to move Government Motion Number 9, 2019-2020, Amendment to Development Plan 1997, Proposed Rezoning, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcels 70, 86, 90, 91, 92, 93, and 94. And Madam Speaker, with your permission, I would like to read the motion.
Please proceed, Honourable Minister of Commerce.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Whereas on the 14th of August, 2019, CPA/17/19, item 3.1, the Central Planning Authority, the CPA, originally considered the request to amend the development plan from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism over Block 11B, parcels 91 and 94. It was resolved to include adjacent properties to create a contiguous swath of hotel tourism lands, as well as rezone part of the public beach lands to public open space. The new proposal therefore became an application for the rezoning of A, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 86 from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. B, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 70 from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. C, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 91 from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. D, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 93 from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. C, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 94 from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. F, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 90 from hotel tourism neighborhood commercial to public open space. And G, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 92 from neighborhood commercial to public open space. And whereas the proposed amendments were duly advertised in the Cayman Compass on the 4th, 6th, 9th, and 10th of September 2019 in accordance with Section 11.2 of the Development and Planning Law 2017 revision, and persons were invited to view the application at the Department of Planning for comment. During the 60-day comment period, no objections were received on the proposed amendment. And whereas on the 18th of December 2019, CPA/26/19, item 3.2, the Central Planning Authority again considered the proposal and resolved to forward the rezone application to the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure for onward transmission to the Legislative Assembly for consideration. And whereas on the 22nd of May 2020, Cabinet considered the rezoning proposal and approved that the matter be submitted to the Legislative Assembly for consideration. Be it now therefore resolved that in accordance in Section 10.2b of the Development and Planning Law 2017 revision, the Central Planning Authority hereby recommends and summons to the Legislative Assembly the following proposal for alteration to the Development Plan 1997, a summary and maps of which are attached hereto. And be it further resolved to alter the zoning area of registration section West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 86, from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. B, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 70, from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. C, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 91, from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. D, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 93, from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. E, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 94, from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. F, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 90, from hotel tourism and neighborhood commercial to public open space. And G, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 92, from neighborhood commercial to public open space. Moved by myself, Honorable Joseph Yu, Minister for Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure.
Does any member wish to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Speaker, in accordance with Section 10.2 of the Development and Planning Law 2017 revision, I wish to lay on the table of this Honorable House a proposal to change the zoning of land belonging to registration section West Bay Beach North, namely Block 11B, parcels 70, 86, 90, 91, 92, 93, and 94. Madam Speaker, the members will find in the information before them related to the rezone submissions the following: a written summary of the rezoning application, a map illustrating the location of the proposed rezone submission and the existing zoning over the land, and finally, a map illustrating the proposed zoning of the submission being discussed. Madam Speaker, the lands as mentioned in the motion are currently zoned neighborhood commercial and are located adjacent to Public Beach and the Kimpton Seafire Hotel. The proposal is simply to alter the zoning of these lands to allow the enhancements of our tourism product in the area, as well as to ensure that all the Public Beach lands are properly zoned as public open space. Madam Speaker, the motion read earlier was very detailed and contained many of the pertinent points of this application. So, Madam Speaker, in my brief presentation of this submission, I intend to summarize and clarify rather than to reiterate the detailed, clearly presented in the motion. Madam Speaker, the land being discussed today are the vacant parcels located just south of the Kimpton Seafire and north and east of the Public Beach. These lands are presently zoned neighborhood commercial, and they are either owned by the Crown or DART. 3 of the parcels in question, Madam Speaker, parcel 91, 93, and 94, are parcels that were created as a result of the NRA agreement between the government and DART. In accordance with that agreement, 2 of these parcels, 91 and 94, were transferred to DART in exchange for the remainder of the parcels being transferred to Crown to create a larger and more substantive public beach. Now that this action has been completed, this proposal is simply a realignment of the zoning for the area. Under this proposal, the 4 parcels, 70, 86, 91, and 94, to the north and east will have their zoning changed to hotel tourism, which will facilitate future hotel development in that area. The 2 parcels, Block 11B, parcels 90 and 92, now in Crown ownership, will also have their zoning changed to clearly designate the Public Beach parking lot and play equipment area as public open space so that the zoning matches the use. Madam Speaker, the road parcel, Block 11B, parcel 93, is also in Crown ownership, and it provides access to the Public Beach. The road was gazetted to facilitate its construction under Boundary Plan 597. Similar to all public roads, the final product has now been surveyed, and my ministry is in the process to have it gazetted as a public road, which will cause the parcel number and the zoning designation to fall away. According to Section 10.2 of the Development and Planning Law, Madam Speaker, the Central Planning Authority was presented with this application. In addition, upon first consideration of the application, the CPA felt it necessary to regularize the zoning of the other parcels in the immediate vicinity and expanded the proposal as described. The CPA advertised this proposal publicly in the newspapers on the 4th, 6th, and 9th and 10th of September 2019 in accordance with the law, and no objections were received. Madam Speaker, the CPA considers this proposal to be in accordance with sound planning principles which reflect the fact that the development history and the potential for these lands is hotel tourism and not the existing zoning designation, which is neighborhood commercial. Furthermore, I'm pleased to say that the CPA has also seen it fit to recommend that all Crown lands at the Public Beach be properly zoned to public open space, which is in keeping with the existing land use and which will secure these for community uses in the years and decades to come. And Madam Speaker, there were no objections from the public to these proposals. On the 18th of December 2019, Madam Speaker, the CPA resolved to forward the proposed amendments to the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure for onward transmission to the Legislative Assembly for consideration, subject to Cabinet approvals. And Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to say that on the 22nd of May 2020, Cabinet considered the rezoning proposal and approved that the matter be submitted to the Legislative Assembly for consideration. Madam Speaker, in closing, I ask for the support of this Honourable House to approve this proposal. Although a consequence of the NRA agreement, it has led to a larger public beach and more development potential along the West Bay Peninsula. Madam Speaker, this change will benefit the people of our islands for decades to come. Madam Speaker, the rezone changes being requested for approval, I'll repeat again, are as follows. West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 86, from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. West Bay Beach North, 11B, Parcel 70, from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 91, from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 93, from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 94, from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 90, from hotel tourism neighborhood commercial to public open space. And West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 92, from neighborhood commercial to public open space. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I don't know where to begin. I don't know whether I should thank this minister for embarrassing the former minister, or start by asking whether or not this is a new policy. Madam Speaker, I have never supported piecemeal rezoning in this manner. I've always wanted to see a proper review of our development law, development plan. And I should say it is long overdue. However, a year and a half ago, or thereabouts, we had presentations from the staff and planning on a review that was being undertaken. And I am yet to find out where that's at. I believe in undertaking these reviews in order that the people of the country determine exactly what they want the landscape of their country to look like in the future. Albeit many times people are too busy and do not participate in the process. Nevertheless, they should be given that opportunity. Now, Madam Speaker, I know there are a number of people who would prefer that I were not here, that I was sent into oblivion because of these same matters, wherein only the select few benefit in this country, and the masses get nothing, and the downtrodden get nothing. Those are the ones I defend. Madam Speaker, when a few years ago, the former minister with responsibility for lands, planning, on 2 occasions brought rezoning to this honorable house. And on both occasions, I debated them and asked for changes to be made. Madam Speaker, both occasions it was in the eastern districts. One was the occasion of gazetting rezoning Beach Bay to accommodate a massive 4- or 5-star hotel. At that time, Madam Speaker, I called on the government to extend that rezoning up to and include Mans Road in Budden Town, because there is a gazetted road through there from the time of the late Jim Budden. The other occasion was Morris Tortuga Club wanted a portion across the road gazetted, rezoned. I again argued during that occasion about extending that rezoning further along the bluff. Madam Speaker, most people may not understand why I argued along those lines. Well, my representation and argument along those lines was specific, because in both instances, we have had developers purchase these properties at low-density agricultural zones, which is obviously the value is much less than hotel tourism. When they purchase those properties, developers, Madam Speaker, and then subsequently request of the government to rezone it, and the government acquiesce, it more than quadruples the value of that property in many instances. Now, they purchase them from ordinary Caymanians, and that's to their benefit. But if we are going to then rezone it to hotel tourism, it is only fair that those other Caymanians who are coming behind, since those up front did not get the value, and there is contiguous land, zone agricultural residential, residential agricultural, at that low value, then it's obvious that there is interest in that area. Therefore, those Caymanians should benefit. Therefore, it is incumbent upon us, if we see an interest in those areas, to rezone it all, because Madam Speaker, the minister just said, and I wrote down, he said, this move will enhance our tourism product in that area, unquote. That's why I said, Madam Speaker, I don't know if I should applaud him or go at the previous minister. Now, Madam Speaker, it's obvious that West Bay Beach is tourism directed. So, Madam Speaker, obviously West Bay Road, we have somehow, over the years, because of the attractiveness of that side, concentrated on enhancing that and developing that as a tourist-related area. So when I can't argue that contiguous lands, that lands in between, should not be rezoned, because that's what it is. And these are lands that sit smack smooth in the middle of tourist-related areas. Zoning. Now, most of us don't even know how they became neighborhood commercial. But let me enlighten those who don't know. Most of that land down there, especially Governor's Harbor, long before many of these in here were born, was swampland and due set into bank, dredged it. And one of the things, one of his vision was that he would have all these canal lots, and then connected with those lots were commercial area, neighborhood commercial lots of property around a little roundabout in there. So when you bought a lot in there, you would get one of those to do the commercial development, neighborhood commercial. We have since gone past that. He also left 125 feet or 80 feet for a highway into West Bay. Some of us in here will recall when I put through that road into West Bay, the legal wrangling we had with a particular lawyer who went and purchased the defunct company that all the properties were transferred to from the liquidators, and then claim on me for use of lands. In those days, Madam Speaker, the canals and the road was under one lot number. So the liquidators transferred all of the parcels into a particular realtor company and the law firm that it was registered at allowed it to strike off the register. And the law allows, when a company is struck off, the assets are held by the financial secretary. And only the financial secretary can approve that it goes to the court to be reinstated, but they circumvented the financial secretary because of being in the government. And then they went and bought the company and came to us to make claims on the road we were using. No, you know, you jump on the wrong man's back. I hope that claim is still outstanding. Those are the people who come to this country and mean us no good. Those are the people who come to this country and can barely rub two pennies together on their own and eventually become managing partners, bluff their way through and fool some of us, but they don't fool me. Ask that same Attorney General, he was there then. Madam Speaker, that was the vision of Doucette. For those who don't know, that was all part of his plan to put a highway into West Bay through his property, through Governor's Harbor. So, when I see this minister bringing this to say that because these were contiguous, we might as well do it, I can't help but agree with it. However, I want to know who applied for that. No one applied. And that's the way it should have been done. Now, here's what I was told on the 2 occasions of Beach Bay and Tortuga Club. That people who were Caymanians, generational Caymanians who owned that property, did not apply to get theirs rezoned. Yet, this minister brings to this honorable house a reasonable request. Since it's contiguous, let us rezone it. But it's a dart. So he who need not request it, because he didn't request this, but he who has nothing, the generational Caymanians, nothing other than the value of assets in land, which is our measuring stick as a society. He got to apply for it. So the people like Evelyn McLaughlin up in East End and all those out in Bodden Town there by the Berries and all those who have all that contiguous lands. I was told right here by the former minister, in the last administration, we're talking about Kurt Tibbetts, that they did not apply. Yet this minister, whether we want to crucify him or not for doing it because it's dark, That's besides the point. The point is, that didn't apply. And we made a decision that I believe is sound to rezone those because they're contiguous. Now, because it's neighborhood commercial and you're doing it to tourism does not mean you can't do neighborhood commercial on it still too. Except that you will have to follow the minimum requirements. Madam Speaker, that is the injustice that we have visited upon our people. The last administration said that the generational Caymanians whose estate owns those properties up there did not apply. Dark didn't apply, but he getting his too. Therein lies the difference in how we treat our own people. I'm not saying not give Dark this, you know, Madam Speaker. I didn't say that. I already said there is very little that I can say no about, because I have argued that if you're doing peace, do the rest. The only argument I have is that, or one of the arguments I have is that further down coming back towards Georgetown, that is neighborhood commercial too, and it's geared towards tourism. That is between where we diverted the road and come back to the highway, back to Courchulas. That is also neighborhood commercial. Why didn't we just do the whole thing? Maybe the minister didn't necessarily think that was worthy of being done at this time. That's fine. But I want to know how we can one day, in one administration, do nothing to enhance the lives of generational Caymanians and turn right around and do it for others. That's what bothers me in this country. We are here to enhance the lives of our people, yet we put the onus back on them to enhance themselves. With the simple stroke of a pen, we could have quadrupled the value of the people between Beach Bay, the proprietors of properties between Beach Bay and Mans Road. But yet, we sit down. I don't know if it's because we hope someone else buy it and then they can apply. That's our job here. Propose changing it. I do not support the piecemeal changes. But if we're going to do it in the proper manner. And if we're going to do it, especially in areas where we have properties owned by generational Caymanians. I know this is Kimmonbrack as well, you know. We have it up there as well. Let them too enjoy the benefits of this country. Then somebody will come and we know the real estate agencies are primarily not from here. When it's convenient, they can balloon up the value of property. And when it's not convenient, or when it's really convenient, they pull the rug out from under it. So on residential tourism, residential agricultural, then they pay little or nothing. Madam Speaker, like I said, I I don't have any problem with DART in this case. I thought it was a sound idea, sound judgment, since it's contiguous and the other piece of, what's the hotel name? Kimpton is right there on one piece, and this thing is sitting right there between our beach and our, I think it's sound judgment to do it. But we can't do it for DART, and he don't ask for it. And then I'm told others didn't ask for it, and they have to apply and go through all the rigors of getting lawyers and application fee. And well, it says that the government decided that we were resolved to include adjacent properties and create a contiguous swath of hotel tourism lands. 91 and 94 was applied for in accordance with the NRA agreement. We can't do this. Yet, when we see our tourism product starting to move east. And I thank the Minister for Tourism, that is from, where is he from again? Cameron Brack West. I thank him when we had a little tourist thing up there, and he in East End, and trying to encourage tourism to come up that way. And he worked along with the young lady and my urging that we give concessions. Those are the things we should do. And by and large, we had a Go East initiative that has fallen on barren soil over the years. But if we want to enhance this product, despite being told it has been a massive failure, the stay-over tourism, we need to encourage people to go elsewhere. But we can't do it at the expense of the very people we purport to support. In particular, in this case, when we come to the rezoning of these properties. The Premier knows that and most here will know, and most hearing my voice will know, that our only means of sustenance was digging yam holes and planting cassava and the likes. And bottler. When the last time anybody eat bottler dumpling, that nice iron in it. And the eastern end of the island was primarily agriculture. That's how we got all of that residential agricultural land up there. And then we put 1 acre per house lot, which is no longer suitable, but it is said that because of the aquifer and the water lens, then we would have to do something else, and that was to avoid having so many septic tanks and deep wells. Precisely. But now that times have changed, and over the water lens that are usual salt lens, those on the front side of it, we need to start talking about neighborhood commercial and rezoning. East End has one little sliver of neighborhood commercial, and that's it. Yet, we have commerce along the village, the town in East End. And we have not moved to try and rezone it to enhance people's lives and communities. And I guess if we don't, some proprietor doesn't ask for it and pay the fees, it will never be considered. Do we really think that's right? Madam Speaker, you know the value of this property. I would be shocked to see the enhanced value of this now, from neighborhood commercial to tourism, because immediately the coverage is different, the value is different, the type, the height. Understand, neighborhood commercial is what, five floors? Hotel tourism is 10, you know. And now there are those who are you can purchase it and apply for the rezoning. Absolutely. But you got to pay a value. You got to pay a fee to get it done. But So when you rezone it to Tourism Beach Resort, that is Zone 1 on West Bay Road, you can go 10 floors. Do you know the value of the returns on that? And I don't have a problem with it. It's just that the same way those generational Caymanians up on the eastern end of the island will sell their little residential agricultural thing for $30,000 an acre after subdivide, they should be able to sell it as raw land, as tourism, hotel tourism, for $200,000 an acre. That's all I'm saying. You can't enhance everybody that has. It gives you the impression, Madam Speaker, that he that have little shall have less, while the others get more. We can't do that. I applaud it. I don't know who made the decision to do it. I don't know if they did it on prompting by DART. But that's not said in here. It's said that the decision to do it was made, because DART only applied for 91, 94 in accordance with the, or less the government did, and then decided it was easier to do this. But obviously, he didn't apply to get his other properties done. And we are doing it. And my people in East End and Bodden Town, guess nothing. And I am told by the former minister, well, you didn't apply. Well, DART didn't apply either. And I'm not bashing DART. I'm just saying, if we can do it on West Bay Road, we can do it in East End, Northside, and Bodden Town too. And Kimon and Little Cayman. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I don't plan to speak very long. I just actually wanted to rise and make a request for the minister when he's winding up to clarify two concerns I have. And first one, Madam Speaker, is that I'm aware that properties in this vicinity had been identified as future campsites that were going to be developed. I just wondered if the minister could give us an update on, when he winds up, on if there will be any impact from this rezoning on those plans, clearly because rezoning changes the use of the properties. And it would be good to hear from the minister when he's winding up in that regard. And also the age-old issue of prescriptive rights. Madam Speaker, there's clearly there are some of those which exist in this area as well. I know that those are absolutely indefeasible, but we do have a potential challenge ongoing. So I'm also concerned about any of those which exist in on these properties. And it would be good to hear from the minister, but give some assurance on what potential issues this rezoning might create with regard to those. I don't anticipate any, but it would be good to get the clarity. So, Madam Speaker, if the minister could address those two concerns when he winds up, I would appreciate it, so that we can have some clarity and some assurance. Thank you.
Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? If not, does the honourable mover of the motion wish to exercise his right of reply?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the two members, the Leader of the Opposition and the Leader from Newlands, for their comments and their questions. And the Deputy Leader of the Opposition. Let me first, Madam Speaker, I know there's a bit of chatter and addressing what the Deputy Leader of the Opposition, his first question. So the question about lands where the little park, and I think it's an animal park, the doggy park, and then the lands that they spoke about in the design for future camping and stuff, that is actually the parcel West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, parcel 90, which is a piece that runs straight down the northern end of the property, right down to the water. And that is now being rezoned to public open space. So that is now actually will be zoned for public open space for the use of the Caymanian people and our citizens and residents for the future. So there is this, just to be very clear for the listening and the watching public, that this is a matter of a rezoning of properties, not a transfer of lands or a loss of lands or exchange of lands or anything else, because I've gotten some representation that might be the case. That is not that. We're rezoning the properties, and two of those properties in particular. The two properties in particular, Block 11B, parcel 90, as I said, which runs from the access road all the way down to the beach, to the water, that's where the park and the area for camping, etc. On the far end, the green area to the northern end of the parking lot is being rezoned from tourism neighborhood commercial to public open space. Again, that now belongs to the public. And West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, parcel 92, which is a large parcel as you enter into the public beach, from the public beach access now, which has a car park, the volleyball courts, the new vendor village, all of that is being transferred, that's 11B parcel 92, is being transferred from neighborhood commercial, or rezoned, I shouldn't use the word transferred, rezoned from neighborhood commercial to public open space, given complete public access, and so tying in the original public beach to the south of the property with that section, now making it one entire open public space or public open space for the people of the Cayman Islands. Following up on the leader of the opposition, frankly, I remember the evening in discussions of the rezonings in East End. And since that, I can tell you that, and certainly during my time in the ministry now, in which was, I understand, was a policy taken from the former minister, whenever we get a rezoning application, now it's advertised, and if you don't get any objections, then you would normally proceed. However, what we do now is we consult with the surrounding neighbors, and that is to see whether or not they have an interest in having their area rezoned as well, if the CPA feels that it should be. One of the concerns and one of the issues with just simply rezoning someone's property without their consent or without them knowing is, for instance, if you take someone's agricultural land and rezone that to hotel, commercial, or whatever in the surrounding lands, and then they try to carry out agriculture, and the hotel says, oh, well, your animals are stinking up the place. You have those sorts of challenges. Some people may want to keep their land as agriculture or low-density residential. Others may want to take advantage of it. But what we do now is we certainly consult with the surrounding neighbors to see if there's an opportunity and whether or not the rezoning fits with the plans for the area. The member is quite right, the leader of the opposition. As he said, this is quite a reasonable proposal to rezone the two pieces, the remaining pieces. So you have the Kimpton, which already has a hotel on it. And then to the south, the zones that were applied for, the parcels that were applied for rezoning to hotel tourism. And as the leader of the opposition said, it only made sense that you had one slither of land in between the hotel and the parcel applied to rezone as hotel tourism, that it would make sense to zone all of it hotel tourism. So just as he said, you have one contiguous piece of property, all with the same zoning, so you don't run into issues with in the future, because the landowners may sell the property, you never know, but in the future with mixed uses and uses that do not necessarily supplement the area. But just to let the member know, and he's absolutely right, the leader of opposition, that we do need to rezone, we do need to look at these zones, and we are doing that as a part of the Plan Cayman initiative. As the member knows, we have not had a review of the National Development Plan for over 20 years. We are right in the middle of getting through the first phase, so we've broken it up into 5 phases. The law says that you have to review it every 5 years. So we've broken Grand Cayman up into 5 zones. We'll review one zone a year, and then the following year, after 5 years, we start again. So every 5 years, one of the zones will be reviewed. No, the law says that you have to review it every 5 years, so we're doing a review every 5 years. So, but it's done within 5 years. So the National Planning Framework came out for consultation last year. We had fantastic engagement on that. That document was presented and approved through Cabinet, and then now they've come back with, or they will be coming to the Cabinet in the coming weeks with the proposals on the first review, which is the 7 Mile Beach Corridor, for Cabinet to review to go to public consultation on that. So we will be completing hope to complete the first phase of the Plan Cayman review, and then, as I said, we'll move on to the next zone, and we'll go through the 5 zones within the 5 years to be in accordance with the law, and then we start over again. So I just wanted to reassure the leader of the opposition that I agree with him. We should not be doing rezonings piecemeal. The Central Planning Authority agrees, and we are moving towards having reviews of the planning law consistently over 5 years, doing one zone a year for the 5-year period. So, Madam Speaker, I think, again, just to reiterate that the application and the rezoning is a part of the NRA agreement. When the application came in, the Central Planning Authority reviewed it, and not only did they recommend that we rezone the piece of property that sat in the middle between the Kimpton to the north and the parcel to the south, but also the Central Planning Authority recommended that we rezoned the government parcels from neighborhood commercial tourism to public open space so that it can be fixed as the people's property, open for the use and enjoyment of the Caymanian people and our visitors. So that is the genesis of the paper, of the motion. And I'm happy to say that now the entire parcel of the public beach, the slither to the north, which has the parks, all the way down to the water, the parking lot, the volleyball court area, all of that would now be zoned public open space. Yeah. So that is where the parking lot is, yeah, so to the north, yeah. So, again, Madam Speaker, I want to thank the members who spoke and also to thank the others for their tacit support and my government for supporting this motion. Thank you.
The question is, be it now therefore resolved that in accordance in Section 10(2)(b) of the Development and Planning Law 2017 revision, the Central Planning Authority hereby recommends and submits to the Legislative Assembly the following proposal for alteration to the Development Plan 1997, a summary and maps of which are attached hereto. And be it further resolved to alter the zoning area of registration section A, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 86 from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. B, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 70 from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. C, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 91 from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. D, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 93 from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. E, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 94 from neighborhood commercial to hotel tourism. F, West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 90 from hotel tourism, neighborhood commercial to public open space. West Bay Beach North, Block 11B, Parcel 92 from neighborhood commercial to public open space. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? No. The ayes have it. Government motion number 9, 2019-2020 is duly passed.
Government motion number 10 of 2019-2020, membership of the Public Accounts Committee, to be moved by the Honourable Premier.
Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move government motion number 10 of the 2019-2020 session of the Legislative Assembly, entitled Membership of the Public Accounts Committee.
Honorable Mayor, can you read the motion? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Whereas paragraph 1 of Standing Order 77, Madam Speaker, I'm sorry, we've lost the Leader of the Opposition. I wanted to explain this to him. Whereas paragraph 1 of Standing Order 77 provides, quote, there shall be a standing committee to be styled the Public Accounts Committee to consider reports of the Auditor General, A, on the accounts of the government, B, on such other accounts required to be laid before the House as the committee may think fit, and C, on any matter incidental to the performance of its duties or the exercise of its powers as the committee may think fit. And whereas the current Public Accounts Committee, in this motion referred to as the committee, was elected on Wednesday, the 31st of May 2017, and comprised the elected member for North Side, Mr. Ezra Miller, as chairman, the elected member for Boddentown West, Mr. Christopher Saunders, elected member for West Bay North, Mr. Bernie Bush, elected member for Georgetown South, Ms. Barbara Connolly, and elected member for Prospect, Mr. Austin Harris. And whereas Standing Order 77-2 now provides that the committee shall consist of 6 elected members and that the quorum shall be a majority of members, including the chairman. And whereas it is therefore desirous of adding a 6th member to the committee in order to reflect the requirement of Standing Order 77-2, be it therefore resolved that the elected member for Georgetown West, Mr. David White, be appointed to the committee.
The motion has been moved and is open for debate. Does the Honorable Premier wish to speak thereto?
Very briefly, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the House on inception, that is inception of this term, voted to comprise the Public Accounts Committee of the 5 members that I have referred to and are set out in the motion. The Honorable Attorney General, in reviewing a number of matters with me over the course of the last month, has pointed out that the provisions of Standing Order 77 were not properly complied with, in that the Standing Order requires 6 members of the Public Accounts Committee and not 5. And therefore, Madam Speaker, this motion is to remedy that wrong.
Does any other member wish to speak? Member for Boddentown West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to support the addition of a new member to the committee. There is a lot of work to be done by the committee, and I look forward to the member for Georgetown West joining the committee. It's like exciting times, a lot of work to be done, and I look forward to his contribution. We do have, his appointment is rather timely because we have the off-reg report coming up later this month, and I think that his experience even in his field can add some level of support and knowledge to the committee. So we look forward to the additional hands on to help us on the committee. So thanks very much.
Does any other member wish to speak? Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wasn't going to speak, but there is an issue that despite the Premier getting up here and saying it was an oversight, I guess, that oversight lies squarely on the shoulders of all of us. But more importantly, in that oversight also came in the form of when the Deputy Governor moved the motion. to change the standing orders in, I don't know if it was an oversight or it was done, well, clandestinely, one of my colleagues said, and for whatever reason. Because the report of the Standing Select Committee, the subcommittee, said that standing orders of the Standing Orders Committee of the whole House, which then appointed a subcommittee to report back to the whole House, recommended that there shall be change 5 to at least 7, and change quorum shall be 3 members to quorum that shall be a majority. This was done in 2016. 11th of March 2016. In that, mind you, Madam Speaker, Mr. Bush and I were not there because I believe I was overseas or somewhere. No, during that transition, something got lost because it just doesn't make sense to do 6 when the Constitution also talks about proportionality, which the Attorney General has reminded me just under 1 million times. But yes, we can't afford to have an even number, really. But certainly, and I'm not arguing one way or the other, I'm just wondering where that transition came, why that change was made in that transition from the subcommittee reporting to the full committee, and then the deputy governor bring the motion here with 6 in it, which was another oversight on everybody's part. Yeah, it might have been quite deliberate, but it might have been quite deliberate. I don't remember why either. Something slips all of us, I guess. But I don't know if the deputy governor can say if it was deliberate, and the reason for that, for it being deliberate. But I suspect that it was probably not reviewing that section, scrutinizing that section closely enough. Which is true, we're parading it, but. So, Madam Speaker, I just wanted to point that out, that maybe it's time to go back over that and another motion to do the Standing Orders Committee to ensure proportionality. Thank you.
Does any other member wish to speak? Member for Savannah?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As I listen to the interaction, that it called for 7, I wonder why we don't go at this time and put it to 7. Okay, and I... Okay. Thank you.
Does any other member wish to speak? Member for Georgetown Central.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. I really didn't have much intentions of speaking because I find that the members that are dealing with PAC are doing a pretty amazing job, I must say. I think the country is appreciating what they're doing so far. So I wasn't planning to speak. My good colleague Chris, Mr. Bontown West, Mr. West Bay North, yourself, member from Prospect, and the good member, the chairman, has been doing pretty good and the people are happy. But in light of the concern or the points that the Honorable Leader of Opposition just highlighted about proportionality and the voting concern, and that my senior member from Newlands, not from Newlands, so I apologize, from Savannah, just suggested potentially rectifying the problem. No. Maybe I misunderstood, but I think that what I heard, and the Premier can respond appropriately about the way of going about it, but whether or not we could suspend the standing orders to rectify the problem, no. Because, Madam Speaker, I am here to say that I'm prepared to stand in that position on behalf of the good people of this country. I think the member from Georgetown West is definitely going to give his contributions, and like my colleague from Bontown West said, there's an up-and-coming PAC that he can add much contribution to, particularly in that field. But I mean, Madam Speaker, by all means, though I am suggesting that I am available to do whatever it takes on behalf of the people to rectify this problem, to make sure that it's equally and fair for the examinations of all public accounts. It doesn't have to be me either. But the important thing is for it to be rectified so we don't have a situation where a vote is taken and we have 3-3. And I think that's what the Honourable Leader of Opposition is suggesting or was highlighting. So if the government and the members of this House are willing, if there's an avenue available to address the matter, I think we should try our endeavor best to not allow things to be unconstitutional, if I dare say that, and try to resolve the problem. No, I'm quite sure there's other members outside myself. We have the Deputy Leader of the Opposition. I'm not sure if he would take a nomination, or my good colleague from West Bay Central, I believe, Mr. Eugene. So I just think it makes sense to rectify the problem while we can, if that avenue is there. So I would support such an amendment if necessary, or whatever procedures to do so, because we have some very important PAC meetings coming up, and all hands on deck to get some clarity to things that are happening around here on our island. We saw what PAC can do. Get some good, thorough examination of the pension matters. So having 7 minds as opposed to 5 may be a good thing for the good people of this country. So that's my contribution, Madam Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? Member for Georgetown West.
Madam Speaker, I just rise to say I'm honored to accept the nomination, and I look forward to making positive contributions to the PAC in the future. Thank you.
Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? If not, does the honorable mover of the motion wish to exercise his right of reply?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank all members who have contributed. I wish to hopefully clarify 2 points. The Standing Orders Committee is the body that has to consider whether or not changes to the standing orders should be made, and then once that report is prepared, that is brought to the House for the House overall to vote on the change. It is not something that we can do off the cuff. Here today, there's a process that has to be gone through. In terms of proportionality, there is no question that what is now proposed is absolutely in accordance with that principle. You've got the government with once this is accepted, with 4 members. Sorry, 1, 2, with 3 members. The opposition with 2 members, and the independent members with 1 member who is the chair. So we are absolutely in keeping with proportionality. 3 government, 2 opposition, official opposition, and 1 independent who is actually the chair. So I think the chair is a member. Read the standing order. The chair is a member. So it's entirely in keeping with the proportionality principle. So, Madam Speaker, I don't think there's much more that I can add to this. Yes, the idea that there should be 7 is entirely in keeping. Well, we certainly couldn't add 1 more member of the official opposition, so it would have to be between the government and independent members that additional member would come. But let's not speculate. Let's vote. Let's vote on the motion that is before us, which is to add a 6th member in the person of the elected member for Georgetown West, Mr. David White.
The question is, be it therefore resolved that the elected member for Georgetown West, Mr. David White, be appointed to the committee. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Those against? No. The ayes have it. Government motion number 10, 2019-2020 is duly passed.
Government motion number 11 of 2019-2020, appointment of the Standing Business Committee, to be moved by the Honorable Premier.
Honorable Premier.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move government motion number 11 of the 2019-2020 session of the Legislative Assembly, appointment of the Standing Business Committee.
Honorable Premier, can you read the motion?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Whereas in accordance with the provisions of Standing Order 79, this House appoints a Standing Business Committee charged with deciding the order of business of the House, and in particular, A, to consider the business papers of the House, B, to decide and inform the clerk the order in which private members' motions are to be debated, C, to decide and to inform the clerk 2 clear days before a question day. The questions to be put down for reply on the order paper for that question day. D, to provide a ready means of consultation between members who are not members of the Cabinet and the leader of government business, the leader of the opposition, the presiding officer, and the clerk. E, to select a member to read prayers on each day of the meeting of the House other than the state opening meeting, and F, to inform the clerk the order in which bills are to be set down upon the order paper. And whereas the current membership of the Standing Business Committee comprises the Premier as chairman, the Deputy Premier, the elected member for Newlands, Mr. Alva Suku, the elected member for Northside, Mr. Ezra Miller, the elected member for West Bay North, Mr. Bernie Bush. And whereas Standing Order 79A provides that the composition of all standing committees shall, so far as possible, reflect proportionately the numerical strength of all political parties or groups making up the elected membership of the House. And whereas the current membership of the House has been increased to 19 elected members consisting of 2 political parties and other groups, and whereas it is desirous to increase the current membership of the Standing Business Committee from 5 to 7 members in order to reflect proportionally the increased membership of the House, be it resolved that the membership of the Standing Business Committee be increased from 5 members to 7, and be it further resolved that the Standing Business Committee shall be comprised of the following 7 members: the Premier, the Deputy Premier, the elected member for Newlands, the Honourable Alva Suku, the elected member for Prospect, Mr. Austin Harris, the elected member for West Bay West. Madam Speaker, the motion itself is an error. West Bay West, Captain Eugene Ebanks, the elected member for Northside, Mr. Ezra Miller, and the elected member for West Bay North, Mr. Bernie Bush. And be it further resolved that the quorum for the committee shall be 5 members of the committee, including the chairman, and that the committee shall meet at such times as called by the chairman.
The motion has been moved and is open for debate. Does the Honourable Premier wish to speak thereto?
Madam Speaker, I don't think there's very much more that needs to be said other than what has been set out in the motion, which is explained again that the government is keen on the advice of the Attorney General to comply with the Constitution and the standing orders provision. I see, Madam Speaker, that the Leader of the Opposition is having some concerns about that, but the government will continue to strive to ensure that its actions are constitutional and in keeping with the standing orders of this House.
Does any other member wish to speak?
Madam Speaker, I,
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Without fail, this Premier likes to draw others out. But I don't know if it's boredom on his part that he wants. But I just find it a little amazing that the government now is trying to increase it to 7 under the guise that of proportionality again, when they got 5 on it now. Or it's not proportional. But there is no need to. I didn't steal no member from you. But you better hold on. What is Randy Travis song? Digging up bones. Because plenty of bones that needs to be dug up. All it shows is a lack of trust, really, in members in this honorable House, that they would try to prevent the government from doing what they have to do. I hope no one on this side is of that mindset, because we all know that the government has to have its way, but not at the expense of all else either. So the Premier and his members must also recognize, and I hope that they do, or they should do, that he and the Deputy Premier should recognize that the opposition must be able to operate also. And I know that's the purpose, because the exercise of authority and power, but that's fine. If the Attorney General has advised and brought to the attention of the government, I always thought the Attorney General was to advise upon request, but that is the way it works. That is the way we shall operate then.
Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak?
Madam Speaker.
Member for Prospect.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to, first of all, accept the nomination, and certainly should the motion pass, I briefly wish to thank honourable members for the trust they continue to demonstrate in my abilities and contributions to see fit to add me to the Standing Business Committee, which, as the Honourable Premier mentioned, meets to decide the business that will come before this Honourable House. I continue to pledge my unyielding commitment to support the Legislative Assembly, my unity government, and the people of the Cayman Islands in the fulfillment of my constitutional duties. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? If not, does the honourable mover of the motion wish to exercise his right of reply?
Yes, Madam Speaker, very briefly, just to say that there is no lack of trust anywhere. The government is striving on the advice of the Attorney General, who is doing his job to ensure that this House and its members who insist in every other respect that government should comply with the Constitution and uphold the Constitution, that this House leads by example by doing so as well. And Madam Speaker, the relevant Standing Order 79A requires, it's not just the Constitution, that the composition of all standing committees shall so far as possible reflect proportionately the numerical strength of all political parties or groups making up the elected membership of the House. The Leader of the Opposition is a little perturbed because at present the opposition holds the majority of members of the committee in clear breach of the Standing Order and the constitutional provision. And Madam Speaker, I have had a quiet word with the Honourable Attorney General, and he's assured me that before this term comes to an end, he shall present the Honourable Leader of the Opposition with a gilded copy of the Constitution and one of the Standing Orders.
The question is, be it resolved that the membership of the Standing Business Committee be increased from 5 members to 7 members. And be it further resolved that the Standing Business Committee shall be comprised of the following 7 members: the Honourable Premier, the Honourable Deputy Premier, the elected member for Newlands, Honourable Alva Saku, the elected member for Prospect, Mr. Austin Harris, The elected member for West Bay Central, Captain Eugene Ebanks. The elected member for Northside, Mr. Ezra Miller. The elected member for West Bay North, Mr. Bernie Bush. And be it further resolved that the quorum for the committee shall be 5 members of the committee, including the chairman, and that the committee shall meet at such times as called by the chairman. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. Government motion number 11, 2019-2020 is duly passed.
You read it, but you didn't put it in the
Oh, sorry. Sorry. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. Government motion number 11, 2019-2020 is duly passed. Oh, that's it.
Madam Speaker, we have got through the government business, and it's just 6:15. Thanks very much to the Leader of the Opposition and his team. Yes, Madam Speaker. We have gone through the government business, and it's just 6:15. There are 7 private members' motions. I am entirely in the opposition's hands whether they wish to press on and get in an honest day's work today, or whether they want to start tomorrow with the motions. I would urge us to press on and get as much work done as we can.
Madam Speaker, if I may.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, we put in honest day's work every day, the same way as the Premier does. He may spend longer, but he don't work no harder. As a matter of fact, he may not be working as hard. But the members have agreed to come back tomorrow and finish their private members' motions, because the first 2 on there happens to be for Mr. Miller, and Mr. Miller is asking the member from Buttontown West to introduce his motions, to move his motions. Therefore, he has to be brief, and he is meeting with him tonight sometime.
Honourable Premier, can you move the adjournment?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move the adjournment of this Honourable House until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Let us try to get an early start to give the opposition every opportunity to get their motions dealt with.
The question is that this House will now adjourn until 10 a.m. tomorrow, July the 2nd. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, no. The ayes have it. This Honourable House stands adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow, Thursday, July the 2nd.